This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome into the Triple Option. Paul Catalina, Royden Ogletree. Royden, I will ask you, first off the bat, how badly did you miss us? Scale of 1 to 5.
Well, I was dying, so you weren't on my mind. I was
Okay.
like, it was probably a 1.
Okay.
Although I did text you that day. I'm glad I didn't come in. I was like, do we have a show? I don't know, I just forgot.
Well, that was going to be the first part. Now remembering it, we don't have a show today, right? And then you were like, oh, good. Now I'm thinking back, you were probably like, oh, thank God.
Well, yeah, and I went into work, and I shouldn't have gone into work because by the time that, I kind of rolled, I was like, why am I freezing? It was running like 102 fever. Did they send you home? No, I just went home.
Oh, you went home?
Yeah.
Garrett, have you ever been sent home from work sick? Fight your way through and
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
So unfortunately, I've worked for the past 14 years with David Smoke, a person who does not understand
Sick days.
Sick and healthy. He does now, but it took him a long time. We actually, and we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of it, I think. When we came back from the Super Bowl in New Orleans, that Tuesday was National Signing Day.
Yeah.
And so we came back, or Wednesday, whatever it was, and Wednesday was National Signing Day. Tuesday, we had Andrew Billings in the studio, and he was committing what we didn't know at the time, but he committed to Baylor.
Yeah.
Now with the Bears, Andrew Billings. So I had gotten some sort of ridiculous stomach bug. And I know exactly how I got it because I was on Bourbon Street, and this girl in a bikini came up to me and said, hey, do you want to do a shot? I said, yeah. And she put the shot thing in her mouth and poured it into mine. And that's where it happened.
You tracked it down, patient
I
zero.
can tell you right now, I've been sick after 2 Super Bowls. One was that one where Smokey initially thought it was just
oh, you're hungover.
hungover, but it was Tuesday. I in no way, I hadn't had anything since Sunday when we were watching the game. And so, it was Tuesday, and I was just dying. But we had to get Billings in, and so I wanted to be a part of that. But all day long, it is I was like a sprinkler head, both ends,
double barrel,
just awful. I've never been that kind of stomach sick to that point in my life. I'd never been. And so, I was pale and sweating and just awful. And so he was so locked in on all this other stuff, he didn't even notice. And we shared an office at the time, in the same office.
You're dying.
I'm dying. He's just not even noticing. And so finally, we get to the show. We get through Billings, which is really early in the show. He commits to Baylor. And then Butch Henry, God rest Butch Henry, our other co-host goes, damn, Paul, you look like shit. And I went, oh, I feel like it. And then Smokey looks, he goes, you do.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I've been all day. He goes, is that what that is? I was like, yes. And Garrett, you remember the bathroom that was right next to our office on the radio station?
It flows. The smell flows.
There was no fan in it, so
I remember it.
It was cut. It was cut. You remember?
Yeah, it was a closet.
Cut into this. There was a vent and a fan, but there was no actual
ventilation.
It just was
outside.
cut into the ceiling.
Oh no!
So it would just blow it wherever it was pointed. And so every time somebody went to the bathroom, we knew.
Oh my God!
And so
who died in here?
I'm telling you, at least 10 times, didn't notice the whole day. So I know this is really gross, but I was so sick, and that was one of the few times in my life they've been you gotta go home.
Yeah, you gotta
And then I was gone for the next 2 or 3 days because again it was can you? I couldn't even drink water. It was just that kind of sick.
Yeah.
And then the second time, and we just saw him again the other day, was Chuck Liddell, UFC champion, legend.
Yeah.
Chuck Liddell came and did an interview with Craig and Q while he was really down with the flu. I mean, he was barely standing up. And it would have been the only time in my life I could have knocked out Chuck Liddell. And it wouldn't have taken that much.
Let me tell you this, dudes, it's okay to stay home.
Yeah, it is. And so, but he went and to his credit, he went and did probably 50 interviews that day, dying with the flu. And then Q got it, Craig got it, I got it, everybody got the
Yeah,
Chuck
so
Liddell
he
fever.
shouldn't have.
You shouldn't have. No, it's fine. It's fine. Like, what we've learned in the last few years is like, you know what? Like, don't get anybody else sick. Like, it's just polite. It's like putting your napkin in your lap. Like, that's what it is. It's polite. Chewing with your mouth closed. Those things, manners. But yeah, so this year I'm proud to say that after Vegas, I only came back with a slight cold, which has now kind of left me. So
I don't know what it was, but it was just like, yeah, you don't have the flu or you don't have COVID, so good luck, brother. And it's just like, okay.
Something new.
Something that you invented it.
Yeah.
But so that Tuesday I was like, okay, no show. Cool. I'm dying. Man flu, whatever it is.
No, and I'll tell you this. I found out, like, by being married, how wimpy men are compared to women when it comes to being sick. Like, are you this way, Garrett?
Oh, every guy is.
Yeah, like, you know, I get, like, a little bit sick, and I'm like, somebody, like, call my lawyer and get him to update the will.
What's my burial plot?
Just listen, call a priest or like a rabbi, a monk, everyone. Like, I feel like I'm going to need all the religions on this. And like, what's the matter? Yeah. I've got a 99-degree fever. Yeah. And then my wife, who had it, like, she had a kidney stone a couple years ago and literally didn't tell me for 3 hours. I was asleep, so in the middle of the night. Woke me up 3 hours later, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, here I am. I'm like,
my tum-tum hurts.
My tum-tum hurts. And she's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a rock in my insides.
Yeah.
All right?
I don't know. Caitlin, my wife, she's a nurse, so, like, she'll take care of you, but just in a condescending way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I deal with this every day. Get up. Like, it's just like, you probably need to get up and walk around, but I don't want to. Oh, okay, well, die. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Earlier today, I saw a guy who got a new kidney. So,
yeah, exactly.
He was better than you.
Yeah, exactly. He was in renal failure, and, you know, he's walking around, so I think you'll be all right, champ.
Yeah. No, my mom was a nurse. So growing up, I know exactly. She was a nurse, and then she became a teacher.
It's like, is a limb falling off?
But she never lost the nurse. Like, she never lost it. So, like, if I was ever sick when I was growing up, it was like I had to have a fever.
Yeah.
I had to have a fever, or it had to be a situation where, like, well, we can't let him out in public like this. You know, like, but
that part doesn't go there. You should probably stay home.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. Like, and you know, Ferris Bueller's Day Off would have never happened with me. Like, she'd be like, oh, good. Like, I haven't seen Dr. Wilson in a little bit.
Yeah, we need to go.
We need to go. Like, you're due for a checkup anyway.
You're due for a physical, brother. Come on.
Let's get this done. All right, you got me.
I will say, just to bring it full circle, because this was supposed to be the first topic, I went to the Baylor-Iowa State game 2 Saturdays ago.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, I was just deathly ill. So I don't know what that says about
I don't know.
that, but I think I can track it back to there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mostly because I was just like going to die at that game.
So only one Big 12 basketball game last night, but it continues the trend of this league's not really great on the road. Like, you know, home teams are kind of controlling it right now, especially at the top. You know, Kansas rolled into Texas Tech last night, lost by 29 points.
Awful.
I mean, just Bill Self got ejected. You know, more conversation about the officiating. In that this is the third coach ejection in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Samson got ejected.
Drew got ejected, and now Bill Self. How we have not hit the bingo with Jamie Dixon yet, I have no idea. So congratulations to Jamie Dixon for, to this point, avoiding the wave of ejections that have come your way. Because, and I don't say this as being critical of Jamie Dixon, I'm just observing the fact of this dude.
He's like a sixth defender out there on the floor.
Yes, he's like a sixth defender. Plus, he rides the officials like a bronco. Like he's just trying to win the rodeo. So, like,
well, we've had less ejections now that Huggy Bear's out of the league.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Per capita,
which is
its own ejection in its own right.
It is, but like it is, but Kansas struggling on the road. Now they're very banged up. Yeah. DeJuan Harris played last night, but I don't think anybody would tell you he's 100% after twisting his ankle the other day. They've got their bye coming up this week.
Well, it's interesting because you saw like Texas Tech go on the road And, like, I mean, they made a little comeback there at the end, but for the most part in the second half, Baylor was completely in control of that Texas Tech game. And then, transitive property, Baylor couldn't get anything to go. Baylor's never, won once, but, like, never won at Kansas. So
had 2 shots
to win it or to tie it.
Yeah, couldn't do it. Yeah.
That just seems to be the breaks with this team this year. But, like,
Scott's assistant's doing great.
Yeah.
Against Kansas this year.
Yeah, I just think that like you're just going to be put through the meat grinder anytime that you go on the road in any of these teams, even including like like Cincinnati. Do you want to go play at Cincinnati? Like Baylor struggled at UCF.
Yeah.
You know, do you really like West Virginia has had a big win or two this year? Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
now
top to bottom, I don't know exactly where you would want to play on the road. Like Oklahoma State, Baylor struggled there in the past.
Yeah.
I keep saying Baylor, but that just as a general purpose.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Gallagher is not an easy place to play.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know, so, no, and look, Kansas's schedule for them kind of works out now that, look, they've got till Saturday off to get healthy, and then they play at Oklahoma, and then they don't play again until next Saturday at home against Texas. So that should allow them, you know, one game in the next 2 weeks, essentially, should allow them to get healthier and make a stretch run. Look, they got to get Kevin McCullough healthy. They've got to get something off the bench, although Nick Timberlake did have 17 points last night, which is big for them. But
related to Justin?
No, sadly, he does not have the juice that Justin Timberlake has. In fact, I'm sure there are times that they would have wanted 42-year-old Justin Timberlake out there
taking free throws.
Nick Timberlake, because he turned the ball over, wasn't playing defense, and they brought him in to shoot, and he was shooting 20%. So, I've seen JT hoop it in some of those NBA celebrity games, and
right, he's got a good stroke.
His game, they would have rather had Bieber out there,
right? CJ Stroud can throw. You know, he's going to play in this next one. He can hoop a little bit.
I'm curious about Micah Parsons.
Right.
Yeah.
Was Darian Williams in the Baylor game? Because they were missing someone, and they kept reiterating it on the broadcast that they were not at full strength when they played.
Yeah.
That was Kevin McCullough.
Say that again.
Kevin McCullough.
For Texas Tech.
Oh, for Texas Tech.
I'm sorry. I should have been. Yeah.
No, I think he did. He was.
Okay, so like Darian Williams went off last night. 30 and 11. Texas Tech is just salty.
They're good, and look, you don't want to go play in Lubbock. Like that's the deal.
Yeah,
you do not like.
A lot of the Big 12 strategy, and I'm not excluding my team from this either, but like a lot of the Big 12 strategy, it seems, is especially with the way the officiating, we're gonna maul you at the rim and hope to God that you can, like, they don't call it, and that's just college basketball in a nutshell.
Yeah,
but like it really seems, based on the games like Iowa State, Texas Tech, that I've sort of really paid attention to. And Kansas has gotten away with it for years. Don't get mad at me. But, like, it just feels like the Big 12 brand of basketball is, like, a light version of what the Big East used to be.
Yeah, it is. No, it's very much so. And, look, the officiating needs to be discussed. It really does. Like, if you've got 3 different coaches, and all 3 of them are most successful ones in the league, and...
Didn't Tang get ejected, too? A few weeks ago? Against Iowa State?
Oh, he got mad about something. No, he didn't get ejected. He got mad about something that they were doing. But, that
was like the pictures where they were supposedly taking pictures of them.
Yeah, they're taking pictures of his, of his
huddles.
Yeah. So, no, but, so the officiating has to be talked about. Like, if you've got Bill Self, if you got Kansas complaining about it, I know the fans, because I live with one, don't see it this way, but Kansas has it pretty good when it comes to officiating.
What?
And look, that's because they've earned it.
Yeah.
And I try to explain this to people when I talk about this. Kansas has earned that over years and years and years of being elite and having the best home court advantage in maybe all of sports.
Blue Bloods get different whistles. It just is what it is.
So the reason that there's a new Baylor basketball arena that Scott Drew fought literally from day one for was because he wanted the home court advantage, which he never really had at the Farrell Center.
Yeah.
It was never really that loud comparatively. Like, you step into Hilton, you step into, of course, the Fog, you step into, West Virginia and like some of these places, and it's just
Even with 13,000 people in the Farrell Center, it sometimes felt cavernous.
Yeah, it's just like the noise rattles your bones.
Yeah, for that Iowa State game that I was talking about, it was like it was in my chest. Like I could feel it.
Yeah, like you ever been to a concert and you hear you feel the bass?
Yeah.
Like that's what these places are like. And it's not that. It is human beings being loud. Like you can.
You went to Fog Allen?
Yeah, I was just there, last week. So, 2 weeks ago. So it was, I saw the Kansas-Houston game there. And it was so loud and so great. And that's what you have. But, like, when you're not getting those calls anywhere, Baylor had that game against Iowa State where they were not getting calls at home. Mm-hmm. Like, look, that's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And look, not that I don't think the officials are on the take. I don't think that, I'm not one of these conspiracy theorists. Here's what I think about officiating, because the conspiracy theorist people are like, oh, well, they want this, or the league wants this, or this or that. No, they're just not good enough at their jobs. They have to be better. It's kind of like the police, right? Like the debate about the police is a lot of these problems will go away if you just trained them
better.
If you trained them better, if you looked at what modern policing is, just like officiating, if you looked at what modern officiating is and where the deficiencies are, and then trained around those deficiencies to make sure that it was over. I think replay is a benefit and a detriment.
Yeah.
I think it's a benefit in that it allows you to get calls right.
It's also a crutch.
It's a crutch, exactly, because, you've got an audit officials like, well, I hope they replay that. But then here's the deal. Part of the problem, not a lot of people know this either, the replay officials in a great many places are retired officials who have knee replacements. So
can't run up and down.
So they're just up there going, how
do we rewind?
Run it back, Charlie. I think so. That's what they have. So they are, they're not, again, they probably shouldn't be officiating any game.
Yeah.
Upstairs looking at a TV or.
Let me get my specs on, my readers.
So, whether you have it in 4K or not, those things just need to be addressed. And again, it starts on a level that's even below that, in that people are such assholes to youth officials now that nobody.
We do. It's
we short it.
They can't play. This is the problem we ran into, is trying to schedule when we're going to record games for the news station. Is that they're just pushing or pulling some of these games because it's we got to play back to back because we had one set of officials for the Tri-County area.
Yeah.
And you're just what?
But do you think that Ed Hockley just showed up one day and he was they're like, you know what? You got big arms.
Right.
You're the head official, the lead of the union. That's you. No, he started just like everybody else did at intramurals and at Little League and at high school and junior high and doing that stuff. So you learn how to do it. And that is lower, so that's our problem. We have honestly, it's at crisis levels. If it was something that, was, really socially important, people would, you'd see David Muir on ABC being a shortage of officials at all levels of sports.
Well, they've done kind of stories on it, but it hasn't quite reached CNN. But I think,
that's the problem.
There's also. The older I've gotten, the more that I've kind of seen this too, is that, and officials will never come out and admit this. And if you ever, interview a former official or whatever, they're just about keeping the peace and doing the game right. There has to have been an increase of officials that it's it's my time now. Mm-hmm. I've just seen that as I've gotten older, and I hate to be a conspiracy theorist in that way, but there's just more of them now than I think I've ever seen, where it's just it's Royden Ogletree's time to shine.
Yeah.
So it's just charge. It's just
I think also that's the fact that, you go back to your hometown and somebody's like, Royden, saw you on that game last night. You look good. And then
good call, ref.
I know there was a car dealer here in town that we could never get on the radio. And we could never figure out why. Every other car dealer spinning on the radio. And it's because he was on television and he had television commercials.
Yeah.
And people would come up to him and tell him how good he looked on the TV commercials. And so he was like, I'm just going to put all my money on TV because I'm at church, I'm at dinner, I'm all this. It's effective because people are telling me, like, I don't know how many more
on that television
I don't know
program.
how many more cars he was selling, but he just really
he was there. Yeah,
he really he really just liked that, and it made him a little egotistical for a weird reason. That okay, you don't want to. All right, I mean, do whatever you want, but seems like this would be good to spread your advertising dollar around. But and now I'll tell you, terrestrial radio, don't do it. Television, podcast, do that. Yeah. Do that. That's where it is. But especially podcasts and television. Podcast and television.
YouTube.
Podcast, television. Podcast, television.
Yeah.
Do podcast and television. That's what you should do. Mm-hmm. Terrestrial radio, you might as well buy typewriters. Anyway.
I got these new things called CDs coming out.
Yeah. So, but that was how it is. And I do think there's I think Ed Hockley in the NFL got a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Where wait till you see my guns when I do this holding call.
Yeah, exactly.
Look,
you get a first down.
Look at how people will say look at that pass interference. He must bench 225 to start. Those kind of things. I think that's part of it. I do, and I think most officials really you want that job because you don't want people to know who you are. You just want to be involved, but you don't. But there are the ones who are again that charge call or the Joe Wests of the umpiring world.
Oh my God.
Angel Hernandez, who really.
It's Angel Hernandez time.
Yeah.
Said Angel Hernandez.
I'm going to blow this perfect game.
Said Jim Joyce. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Angel Hernandez did that too.
No, did he? Oh,
yeah,
probably.
Yeah. And it was I think that was one of the things that got replay done is that here a guy had a perfect game and he screwed it up. And when when he was asked about it, he was like, so?
Yeah,
what's well, I mean, you just ruined this could this could have been the greatest night of the it's not only the guy who pitched the perfect game, it's everyone there who
miss
paid
history,
you miss history because this guy's just being a jerk.
Right.
He just has to be right.
Well, I will say there was also the thing that came out, and forgive me if this reporter, I'm blanking on his name, that came out after the whole Iowa State Baylor debacle.
Matt Norlander,
and said that Big 12 is the only one that doesn't have a review on its officials.
Yeah.
Is the only conference.
Brett Yormark has now started that.
Yeah.
Which I do think this is the reason we're seeing more ejections and more of these calls we haven't. Because now they're getting a report card where they didn't before, and they're overcorrecting.
Yeah.
So, and that's also maybe why the coaches are getting a little bit mad because a lot of this stuff has
from years.
Yeah, I got away with this for years. The coaching box thing was one of those rules that wasn't a rule.
No.
And now all of a sudden.
In fact, it still really isn't.
Yeah. But then they're okay, this is the one we can enforce to say that hey, we care now about this rule.
Right.
Don't do this. And then you're well, I mean, again, look, I'll tell you the one I've seen, Frank Martin, when he was at Kansas State, and
Shaka Smart was bad about it.
I've only seen him in person do one. It's hard to tell when you're watching on TV, where they actually are. But yeah, Shaka Smart. But Frank Martin, when he was at Kansas State, I did PA for a couple games, sitting in for Derek. And he was the coaching box. I thought he was going to put a chair at the 3-point line. I mean, honestly, this is where I'm sitting. You were going to pay attention to me. And especially because one of the games I did was the game that Michael Beasley scored 50 and they lost.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so
he was, that happened a lot. He was 38 points.
He was losing his mind. Here's a guy setting a Big 12 record for a game and they were losing.
Yeah.
No one, I remember I could hear him on the bench. It was him and then there was a guy, Frank, what was his name? Bracket Cat, help me out. It was.
For who?
For Kansas State, they had two guys. I want to say his name was Frank. It was Michael Beasley, and then they had another guy, and then the other three. He sat them all together. He's you, sit right here. Are any of you going to make a shot? Any of the three of you, or is just going to be these two guys? So yeah, Scotty B says he was at that same game. It was unbelievable. Michael Beasley, Baylor couldn't stop. Bill Walker, thank you. Bill Walker, not Frank Walker.
Okay.
Bill Walker, yes, Bill Walker, and he's Bill, Bees, you guys are great. You guys keep doing what you're doing. Don't ever stop it.
The other two, have you ever played the game of basketball?
You three guys, everybody in the bench, you're dead to me. You are actually dead to me. I don't even know. Like, I'm not going to say your name because that would be acknowledging that you are actually alive and playing in this game.
Right.
Because you've done nothing to show me that. You know, it was really, really bad.
I'll be interested to see just going down, down the line. We're going along on this topic, but like, I'll be interested to see who is going to, and I think it's probably going to be Houston. I just think they're too salty. Like maybe Kansas because they always seem to pull it out. This kind of feels like the year.
They got to get something off their bench.
Yeah, this kind of feels like the year that they're not going to, that it's going to be Houston, maybe even Iowa State. I think Baylor's kind of drawn dead, even though they're a game and a half back. But
Baylor's a very good team.
Yeah.
They're not a great team because they don't have any killers yet.
No. Jacoby Walker, he just needs to take another step. But, I think, even though he's been great, but I think that the team that's going to win is going to be the one that's going to pull out one of these road games late in the season.
Yeah.
I'd probably go, win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. The winner of the Big 12 will probably have, 6-7 losses in the Big 12, it'll seem like. But it probably feels like Houston at this point, not midway, but 3/4 of the way through the season. So it will be somebody that on a Saturday afternoon, they pull off an upset at one of BYU or something. That,
and look, everybody's good in this league except for Oklahoma State right now.
Right.
Everybody's good, to different levels, and they all defend their home court very, very, very well. So, Chris Cobb says, "Come on, guys, it's time for baseball. College starts Friday." It does. It does. And
Baylor plays up in Arlington.
Yeah, Major League Baseball is starting to report to camps here soon.
Yeah,
and
pitchers and catchers report.
Pitchers and catchers, and half the league isn't signed yet, and baseball's fine with that. I don't understand.
Baseball somewhere down the line was just what if our free agents just didn't get signed
until right before we go there?
So then they can blow their arms out in March.
Yeah, I would hate it. If honey, where are we going to live this year? St. Louis, Baltimore, Cleveland. I don't know. We'll find out. Well, what day do you have to leave? February 15th. Okay. Well, what day do you think you'll get signed? February 15th.
February. No, we'll get signed halfway through training camp or halfway through spring training. Rather,
it's nuts. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bracket Cat, who's a Kansas State fan, said, "That's true. That was a wild game, but our entire rest of the roster combined for 11 points. And they were, I think, all but 2 of them were at the free throw line.
Really?
One other field goal from the rest of the roster, and the rest of them were free throws.
I remember that team, just because it was right when I was starting, because it was Beasley and Durant that same year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or no, they were one right after each other.
One right after the other.
It was Durant then Beasley.
Yeah. Aaron Bruce was Baylor's point guard at the time and was just draining threes.
Yeah.
And he was having a great game. And, early on in the game, Beasley's going off. You're sitting there watching thinking, well, there's no way Baylor's going to win this game if Beasley's going off.
Yeah.
And then they slowed him down for a few minutes and Bill Walker started to go off. And you're like, well, now these 2 guys, NBA players, are going to torch this roster full of European basketball players.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good Baylor team. They made the tournament that year, but it was one of those oh, good for you.
It wasn't Michael Beasley, who I swear to God, I thought Michael Beasley was a god among men. I thought he was going to be the best NBA player ever. He had a long NBA career, and he could score in the NBA a little bit, but kind of he was a sieve on defense.
But I remember they get to a timeout in the second half, and Bill Martin was so mad at the rest of his guys. Frank Martin. Frank Martin was so mad at the rest of his guys.
Yeah,
so mad. And I love Frank Martin, one of my favorite basketball coaches ever. Love him.
Is he at South Carolina now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Frank Martin. But yeah, it was just and we're over there and it's one of the things when a guy's yelling and everyone else is thinks it's funny, we all did.
Yeah.
Because it was just the way he did in his super Italian way of yelling at people was it's are you going to get in this guy's are you going to guard him? Are you going to? Do you want me to put anybody else in there for you that they'll try to do it?
Yeah.
And then he gets real condescending of okay, Bill and Michael Beasley, these guys know that the point of the game is to put the orange thing and the other orange thing with the white things on it. There's a glass thing behind it. You can use that to help you if you want.
Right.
You don't have to just put it right through.
Yeah, it's something it's called a bank shot.
Do you remember, guys? We practiced this yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that bad. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl aftermath. Who are the teams going to fall off? The Chiefs, to me, seem likely to actually improve because this was somehow their worst year.
Yeah.
And
it's unbelievable.
What happens to the 49ers? Do they continue the trend of teams losing the Super Bowl and then taking a dive the next year?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in to the Triple Option, Paul Catalina, alongside Royden Ogletree today. And the Super Bowl was a couple nights ago.
Was it?
We're past talking about the game at this point. It was fantastic. Now let's talk about the aftermath of what's going to go on.
The real important stuff. Nobody cares about those Super Bowl winners.
Yeah, no, but look, the Chiefs, and let me get their cap situation there. They also are up against it. But the Chiefs and 49ers, both in particular, don't have a lot of cap room, which is not surprising considering you have teams full of stars and guys. But, the Chiefs have to re-sign Chris Jones. And if not, that is the one thing I do think that can happen to them that would severely affect next season.
And they might not.
Well, it's either him or Snead. They can't really probably do them both.
No, exactly. And their secondary is so good this year that I think they may just continue in that route and hope to recreate Chris Jones in the aggregate, which is hard to do because he's like the second best defensive player in the NFL.
Yeah, he's just ridiculous. But
what they might do is actually sign a wide receiver that can catch passes.
Yes, and draft one. I mean, they're set up. I'll tell you right now, they're going to be way better in offense than they were this year.
Yeah, Rashee Rice will take a leap. They may sign DeAndre Hopkins to a cheaper deal than they would have to get Chris Jones on.
And they'll probably draft somebody who's pretty good.
Maybe. I mean, they took a flyer on Sky Moore and stuff, and that didn't work.
I would say they used a higher draft pick than a third. They got Rashee Rice later than they should have gotten a guy like Rashee Rice. But yeah, I think that pick number 32 is going to get used on the best wide receiver that's there if he fits what they do. You know, and so. But the Chiefs have $22 million in salary cap room, which is really that's not a lot when you think about it. They're going to do some restructuring. The 49ers have $3 million, so they're
the most up against it.
Yeah, they're in the danger zone of it. So
to me, it does feel like it feels like kind of the Eagles. I mean, that's the easy comparison to make, but because the Eagles were up against it, and then they had to sign Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Which is the reason that you want Brock Purdy to take a leap, is that then you get to do all of this restructuring with the cap and playing with the cap, and you get to take chances on older defensive players and, sign mega deals for Joey Bosa and so on and so forth. And then trade for Chase Young and hope maybe hope maybe he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Now, I'll tell you, they're going to do a lot of restructuring, and they'll get it to a point where they can mostly get this team back. But, like, Chase Young's a free agent. I doubt that they're going to be able to bring him back. Like, that was a rental to try to win the Super Bowl, and they got pretty darn close, but didn't. So, and plus he's going to go cash in. This is his. I mean,
is Dre Greenlaw is like what was his thing because he just popped his Achilles.
Well, look, here's the deal: if he's a post June 1st cut, they only have $932,000 of dead money, and they save almost $9 million in cap space. So that's probably that doesn't mean he's not going to come back, but. A restructure is coming for him no matter what. And that's like, if you go to
the most unfortunate thing that happened that night.
Yeah, but it really is. And the way it happened too.
Running onto the field. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
No, just Keita. Like, I remember Bill Grammatica, his brother, was kicking for the Cardinals.
Yes, and he jumped and hurt
his knee. Yeah. It was LaBelle guys. They went to my
the guy that headbutted the wall or whatever.
They went to my Gus Farrat. Yeah. They went to my rival high school. Their Grammaticas did. So played against them in high school. And
could they kick then?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Their dad got arrested in the parking lot of our high school at a soccer game.
Hell yeah.
Because he pulled a knife on an official.
No, that's actually bad. But
no. Their dad, LaBelle's a very rural town in Southwest Florida. And their dad set up a goalpost in their backyard. It was three brothers. Martine and Bill both made the NFL. Their younger brother was good, but he wasn't NFL good. You know? And that was Bill. Here's another.
What do you mean his sideline out of bounds?
Martine went to Kansas State. Bill initially went to Florida State and then transferred because Sebastian Janikowski, gigantic left leg, sent him out of town. So
hate to do it to you. I think the team that everybody's picking and it's fun for me, except for the expectations that now come with this, is the Texans because they have $61 million in cap space.
Well, technically right now it's 57, but they're going to get there post June 1st with a couple of Malik Collins won't be back.
Yeah.
Well, no, he probably will be. He's $11 million in dead money.
It's weird because people are saying
Robert Woods won't be back.
It was something like I read. How it's the 50-man roster in the NFL?
53.
53-man roster. So I was reading it was something like 30 players were on expiring or one-year deals and that played on the 53-man roster. Yeah. Significant snaps for the Texans. And they somehow, I think by the grace of God and CJ Stroud, made it to the playoffs. And maybe not in that order either. But I think that it'll be interesting who they decide to that end that they need to bring back, who was significant enough to give multi-year deals to. And some of those guys, I don't think Robert Woods will necessarily be back or some of those guys. And
he just costs you the same amount to keep, you can save half by letting him go.
Yeah.
So his dead money, you save half by letting him go. So I would think you're going to do that because you'll get younger at that position. So.
Right, and you replace a lot of these guys by the draft, but there is a need for a significant overhaul on actually maybe letting a few more of these guys that got significant snaps go and then giving big money to somebody finally, which is tough to do in the NFL. We've seen a lot in the NFL, is different than the NBA or MLB where those contracts just – people over the life of those contracts in those two leagues usually will pay out. In the NFL, you never really know because most of these guys reach free agency post 30. So it's tough to really determine who you're going to get. If they could give big money to Chris Jones, I'm kind of for it, but I don't. It's tough also giving that money to a defensive tackle past 30.
The teams I have my eyes on. As far as making the big leap in the AFC are Houston and Miami.
Yeah.
Because they both have similar amounts of cap space and can go, get that, what they're missing. Miami can improve, that's probably going to be, I would say those two teams and Kansas City will be the top three for Chris Jones. Mm-hmm. And, his agent's going to throw the Cowboys out there, but they don't have the cap space, and that's just not going to happen. Like, if it does, then like, okay, like we
got to rethink this.
We got to rethink this whole thing. But because if you put Chris Jones and Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs on the same defense, like that's really
they'll actually be a great defense instead of like cosplaying as a great defense.
That's exactly that's the best way to put it. Yeah. Like they make big plays. Like they're a big play, like sacks, interceptions defense, but like a normal, like,
oh, we get off the field now.
Let's get the running back here. Like they're not good at that. They're not good at that. Like, so.
It'll be interesting to see what happens sort of with some people in the NFC, like what's going to happen in the NFC South because half those teams are over the cap. Mm-hmm. Like, will Mike Evans turn down Tampa Bay?
Well,
I don't know.
Tampa Bay only has $200,000.
No, they're like right up against it. Them, and I think like the Saints are crazy over. But I think it'll be interesting to see like can Mike Evans restructure and re-sign there, or will he go to Houston too? Because they're smoking the air. They're smoking the air there because he's from Galveston. But no, I think positioning yourself in the AFC to even take a swing at the Chiefs are the Texans. Miami, if they get offensive line help and defensive line help, and then will the Colts continue like an upward trajectory too? I mean, they're a little bit more in not cap hell, but they have more on the books than what those teams do.
Look, the Lions are a team that can do a lot of things. Get some guys extended, sign a piece here or there. Like I think they'll be back in the mix. The Cowboys are always going to be in the mix. Like Jerry doesn't have it in him to let them like
tank.
He just doesn't like.
Yeah. I wouldn't either.
Well, you know what had to happen for them to tank the last time was Tony Romo had to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like Tony Romo got hurt. And like even when Dak got hurt a couple years ago, it was halfway through the season and they had already been too good to be bad enough to get a high pick.
Yeah.
So like to that point in the 2020 season where he broke his leg, like or 20 whenever that was, like 2021, like they had already been too good to that point to tank. Mm-hmm. Like they just weren't there. And and when I say tank, I mean just like understand that like you need to do a roster reset and hope for the best.
Yeah.
But like reboot your cap and all that stuff. The other thing though that the Cowboys don't do, like the Cowboys care way more about the salary cap than everybody else does. Everybody else does. Like they won't. The Rams went for it and were in salary cap jail for 2 years and it looks like they're coming out now.
Yeah.
But Jerry's not even willing to go through it for like a year. Jerry and Steven don't want to be in salary cap hell. So they have decided like, we're just not going to.
It's like a weird long-term future play, even though they still want to win now. So I don't. It's
they're trying to do both, and like here they want to build a dynasty again, which clearly is possible because the Chiefs have it right now.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the Chiefs have it because of Mahomes.
They have Michael Jordan, so I don't know what
the Cowboys had it because there was pre-salary cap, but they had one of those dudes, like in that era, like Aikman's one of those dudes. Like I know that, like
the second best running back, of that era.
Yeah,
so
yeah, and the all-time who became the all-time leading rusher,
right?
So like they had that. They had all the best offensive line ever created, or that will ever be created. 2 different versions of it with different guys. They had like 10 guys roll through there, and the best left tackle and left guard that ever lived in Larry Allen.
Right.
Like they had that dude and. So that's what they did.
Well,
and
I think the NFC has the ability to really have the most parity because with the Chiefs, I've just kind of resigned to the fact that we're just in another dynasty, like woohoo, yay. But I think because they were not good this year and they still won the Super Bowl, which like really sticks in my crop, but whatever. And I think that you're just going to have to go through them until further notice. And but in the NFC, with the sort of dearth, I guess, or like lack of quarterback, dearth is the wrong word. The lack of quarterbacks is that if somebody can take a leap, then you'll just have just as good as a shot as any now to go to make it to the championship game or the Super Bowl, because it's like the Eagles are up against it, and we got like Jalen Hurts has to stay healthy the entire year. Their offensive line is going to have to be restructured. Like the Lions now seem poised to hopefully continue to grow if Dan Campbell can get out of his own way. Mm-hmm. San Francisco has to restructure. Like the Seahawks aren't necessarily that great. Like the Cowboys have the biggest opportunity to like finally get over the hump, but will they? Yeah, I don't know. And nobody in the NFC South scares anybody. So I don't know what it's open. It's open season in the NFC. It feels like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it is absolutely
like the Vikings tanked because they didn't have a quarterback. If they somehow got a quarterback, it feels like they're probably back in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if they decide to sign Kirk Cousins and he's healthy, I doubt, popped his Achilles too, but Oh, well, we're forgetting Jack. Green Bay is also good now.
Yeah,
so
yes, Green Bay. Yeah, Jordan Love, and they've got plenty of,
and they're also like all 22 years old. So
no, Green Bay. But yeah, again, you're right. It's going to be different. All right, when we come back, we're going to wrap it up. A couple weeks ago, the SEC and Big Ten decided they were going to have a little powwow, and they're going to come up with a way to fix college athletics.
Yeah.
And the ACC,
we did it, guys.
The ACC and Big 12 have, to this point, not been invited. Both the commissioners of the league said that they understand, but I would be a little bit pissed if I were them, particularly if I was Jim Phillips, and he seems to be making the same mistake again. We'll talk about that next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back to the Triple Option here on 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Royden Ogletree. The Big Ten and the SEC have formed a working group to fix the issues of college football, which will include a revenue sharing model and all these different things that, they need to do here in the modern day to, probably reworking the calendar, which is going to be really important for college football because it makes zero sense. It's like they had like different issues. Like, all right, what are we going to do about signing day? Third week in December. All right, what are we going to do about the transfer portal? Second week in December. What are we going to do about hosting transfers who come in? Third week in December. What are we going to do about the semesters? First week in January. And then they did it all separately, and then they sent the calendar out, and they're typing it up, and this all feels really jumbled. Did we do that on purpose? Or?
There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
When's Christmas?
Yeah. When are the bowl games? December and January. Ooh. Always forget that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So let's jam it all into this one couple of weeks. So that's going to be something they have to work with. And honestly, I think the recruiting calendar is going to be something that we don't even fathom. There might not be a signing day anymore. It might just be you can sign
here now. Yeah.
You can sign whenever you want. And you can get out of your NIL as long as you haven't gone on campus yet, or NLI as long as you haven't gone on campus yet. Because that might be the simplest thing. Create some kind of binding. Look, if you're going to sign in June, there's no actual signing day. If you want to sign with Texas A&M for their class on June 5th, you can.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it something that we're just going to see more people signing May or in the summer.
I mean, it may honestly have to be.
Yeah.
Like it's just or August before the.
Is there still 2 signing? I'm so far removed from this after not having.
Yeah, there's still 2 signing days.
There's still 2 signing days. Everybody now signs in the early period, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, more or less. I mean, like, what do you think? Probably.
I would say probably about 90%. You got a few
so
handles.
it all of a sudden became the early signing period is the signing day.
Yeah.
And so when's the second one?
It was last week.
Yeah,
last week. Yeah,
it was
okay.
last week.
So
yeah.
November and
December, 3rd week in December and the 1st week in February.
I'm forgetting it's February. I've been so out of it. So so in December and February. So it may be just be like, I'll decide when I graduate.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that might have to be the thing, and so it's really weird. But
I mean, it would suck because you want to sometimes these people graduate early, and then you want to get them in there for spring football. That may take. I don't know. That may take a back seat.
There's so many issues to this, but left out in this working group were the other Power 4 conferences, and
the
one that still Brett Yormark said in the Ross Dellinger article today that that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti called and said, "Here's what we're going to do," and they felt comfortable with it. I think that's what he's supposed to say. Jim Phillips said, "Well, I don't think there's anything sinister going on." Bro,
why
you got snookered by the alliance? You should be Jim Phillips, Brett Yormark. I understand being all right, I'll watch this from the outside because he's not really afraid of things. Jim Phillips got snookered by the alliance, and I'll put it nicely, not the word we used during the break, steamrolled by the SEC and your conference champion just 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or 2 months ago, whenever that was.
Railroaded,
yes, good. Bent over, I don't know. I went there. You just did that, and then you're like, they're fine. They have our best interest at heart. They don't. They have your best interest at heart only as far as you can help them. The minute that you cannot help those 2 leagues, it's over. Is there... No. We're recording a live show right now, ma'am.
God, that lady's a repeat offender. That pissed me off. Sorry.
Don't come in. So, for those of you who don't know, our studio is right on a street corner, and we sometimes have people meander in.
Just wander in.
Yeah, and this lady comes in a lot. I don't know what she's expecting.
Yes, she's been here a few times.
Yeah.
She did. No, I can just keep coming.
No, go.
I don't know.
Anyway, but yeah, they don't have your best interest at heart, and it's naive to think that they would.
Brett Yormark is interesting because he kind of feels in control, especially more so than the last president. But I think playing the long game he definitely is playing the long game. I don't know what the end result of that is going to be and how long
basketball is very central to it.
Yeah, exactly. And how long you can play it. It helps that, you do have the best basketball conference in all of sports. They rival some Eastern Conference NBA teams. But I just think that the ACC, you gotta get moving while the getting's good. I don't know why you're so casual about this. When you saw what happened.
Yeah.
The woe is me days are over, man.
Yeah.
You're done. You cannot be like, well, look what they did to it. You saw it coming. You've seen it coming.
Yeah. You should be absolutely on
everything
the defensive.
should be on red alert all the time.
Yeah. Look,
somebody makes a move, red alert. This is the Cold War. This is what's happening.
Here's what makes it dumber for Jim Phillips compared to Brett Yormark. None of Brett Yormark's teams are trying to leave right now.
No.
None of them are trying to leave. And that might be just as far as they don't have the opportunity to.
Right, or the best teams, but
yeah, I mean, they don't. The Big 12 needs each other. They all need each other right now, and that's why it works. The ACC has one team that's very publicly trying to leave you. And you think that people are out to help out the ACC?
And 2 more that are dipping their toes in the water every single day.
And you've got more than 2 in that league that are going, all right, good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Whatever you find out, let us know. You know what our
Send it up
number
the
is.
chain.
Yeah. We're not going to make as much of a fuss as you because it would look weird because nothing bad has happened to us recently. But we support you, win or tie. Like that's what they
Go with God.
Yeah.
And then also right.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if like certain people like, show up and be like, hey, I was just going over your case and I'm a lawyer of some repute, and I just wanted to drop this note here. Use it, don't use it, whatever you do,
Have my card.
Yeah, here's my card. Oh, is that a Clemson paw on it? Oh, I don't know. All right, I'll be in South Carolina.
Yeah, no,
or somewhere in that realm. Like
if you see me, let me know.
Yeah, just call me Unc.
Yeah.
I'm Unc the lawyer. Yeah. So yeah, those things are going to happen. Like that's where it's headed. And for Jim Phillips to sit there, and again, it gives me no faith in his leadership.
Right.
That look, if they had John Swofford before, who was worse than Jim Phillips, and got them into this awful TV deal. But Jim Phillips, if I'm an ACC fan, whether I'm an FSU fan, or one of the the silent 3 or 4 that are also hoping to leave.
Yeah.
Or if I'm an SMU fan who's just joined the league, or if I'm a Duke fan or a Georgia Tech fan, I'm looking at Jim Phillips going, bro, like how many times do you have to how many times do you have to see your wife cheating on you before you believe she doesn't love you anymore? Like just, take action.
The first time it was a mistake.
Yeah.
It was an accident.
I feel like he's William H. Macy in Boogie Nights. You got the reference.
Yeah.
I don't know if Garrett got the reference.
I did.
Yeah.
I can't say the line. But the line is the funniest thing that I
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who he is.
Right. No,
And if anybody in the chat gets that reference, tell me.
Yeah. I will. I am interested. So this new Big Ten SEC thing, call it the alliance, if you will.
Yeah.
Is are they just gonna? Is this just the new NCAA? Is that what they're just trying to do?
That's what it feels like it's going to be. Or they're going to say, "Here's the things we came up with. Here's what it's going to cost you to get in. Here's what you're going to have to do and promise an outlay. And here's I think the biggest thing and the only thing that could miraculously happen in this is that the Big Ten and SEC realize that college football is stronger together and that the media deal shouldn't be conference by conference. It should be for
One
college
wide swath,
football.
yeah.
And then you get more based on how much you deliver, but I don't know.
Well, it's always a have and have-nots game, but something's gonna break. I just don't know if you're gonna have I just don't understand that they think that we're gonna have one huge league, and the rest of you peasants are just gonna be down here fighting for our scraps, and we're just all gonna people in New Mexico are going. I mean, it's not the biggest audience, but you get what I mean. People in New Mexico are gonna care what Vanderbilt and South Carolina are doing, it was it's the NFL or something like that. I just don't see. It's a regional sport, so I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're just not going to have the fan. I don't think you're going to have the buy-in. And then maybe this is short-sighted of me. I just don't think you're going to have the huge buy-in of watchability that I think that you think that you're going to have.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for us. We're going to talk about this at length on the show today because it's very interesting when it comes to realignment, the future of college athletics. We have Mac Rhodes who will tell us what he can tell us about being on the college football playoff committee. I have a hypothetical to throw out to him. Let me see how you guys would answer this very hypothetical. It's a very, very hypothetical.
Yeah.
I say this, it has no basis. I came up with this on my own.
Yeah.
I've never heard people talk about this. It's just mine. If a team goes 13-0 and wins their conference, but 3 weeks ago, their quarterback broke his leg, and there's an SEC team that you could leave out of this thing.
Yeah.
Do you do what the SEC says, or do you give the team their rightful place in the college football playoff? Not a situation that's ever happened before, or one that I can't remember, but I just want to know what his answer would be on that.
Do the SEC pay me more?
Yeah, so there you go.
Exactly.
There you go. I mean, that's good. I mean, again, not that situation exactly hasn't happened before. I wouldn't know when it would have.
We don't like dealing
in college football history, in the college football playoff. It doesn't seem like it's happened, but if it did, how would you do that?
Dealing in hypotheticals is, it's child's play.
Especially bitter ones like that. I mean, where did I even come up with that? I was on the plane for a while. Maybe that's where it came up with it. Just on a long
the
flight.
inner machinations of your mind are an enigma.
Exactly. So, all right. Thanks to Royden. Thanks to Garrett. Thanks to Jack. We're back in an hour, everybody. See you then.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks,